Donald Trump is panicking as catastrophic news is coming out of the Middle East from Donald Trump's unlawful invasion of Iran. The United States consulate in Dubai hit by Iranian drones. The United States CIA building in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, hit by Iranian drones. The U.S. Air Base in Qatar, the Al Udeid base, hit by Iranian drones, including a ballistic radar detection system, hit by Iranian drones. The United States is running out of its munitions. Donald Trump is lying and claims we have unlimited munitions, but Donald Trump has now called a meeting of some of the biggest U.S. defense contractors to show up on Friday and to talk about how they can produce more weapons as the U.S. is running low. And we know that Iran is able to make the Shahed drones and ballistic missiles very cheaply, while the U.S. is unable to keep pace with its own billion-dollar weapon systems. Here's what Reuters is reporting. The Trump administration plans to meet with executives from the biggest U.S. defense contractors at the White House on Friday to discuss accelerated weapons production as the Pentagon works to replenish supplies after strikes on Iran and several other recent military efforts. 5 people familiar with the plans told our Reuters companies include Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and others. I remember Donald Trump saying, we don't have an issue with munitions, but he's calling this emergency meeting. By the way, doesn't this remind you of when Donald Trump invaded Venezuela and then brought in all of the oil companies to show up and talk about how they were going to divvy up Venezuela? Just take a look at some of this disastrous news that we're learning out of Iran as well. Iranian strikes damage structures on or near U.S. military communications and radar systems at 7 bases across the Middle East, the New York Times reports, noting at least 11 facilities hit in total. Also noted by drop site damage was identified at facilities in Bahrain, Qatar, which I just mentioned, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. Targets appear to include missile tracking radar systems, satellite dishes, and radomes used for long-distance military communications. Also, the Strait of Hormuz is essentially shut down at this point. As Christian Tribert writes, since Monday, just 3 oil and gas tankers, let me repeat that, just 3 oil and gas tankers have crossed the Strait of Hormuz. According to the latest Kepler data, it is a de facto closure. Says Pickering Energy, you've got a significant number of vessels on either side of the strait, but no one is willing to go through. As Iran has said, if you go through, we will blow you up. And as a result of this, we're seeing stock markets across the world are crashing. We saw South Korea stock market halted after an 8% crash, which even went down to more of a 10% crash, triggering a circuit breaker. The Japanese markets were crashing as well. Massive problems affecting economic markets abroad. And we now have the images, folks, of the first confirmed fatalities in Trump's illegal war on Iran. We have the photos of the service members who were in Kuwait, whose leadership was reaching out to the Trump regime in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere and saying, we are being left unprotected. These facilities that you have us in don't have any anti-drone systems. We need help here. Their requests were ignored. And this is the cost of war. And Donald Trump and his regime have now briefed Congress and stated that there will likely be many more deaths and many more service members seriously injured. Also, the United States is now planning they've already armed, actually, Kurdish militias. And I guess part of the United States thinking right now is they're going to try to coerce or pressure Kurdish militias to invade Iran in order to provoke a civil war in Iran. And that's supposed to encourage people in Iran to take over the country. And I'm trying to understand the plan here. There was a bipartisan briefing on the Hill today where Donald Trump's Department of Defense and Donald Trump's State Department briefed lawmakers, and lawmakers came out of this meeting, and they looked absolutely horrified at what they heard. That the Trump regime was not able to articulate any coherent justification for the war of Iran, and that this war in Iran is going to be lasting many more weeks, if not months, if not longer. and that the Trump regime has not ruled out boots on the ground. Lawmakers are absolutely horrified. I will show you in a minute what some of those lawmakers were saying. In the meantime as well, though, in Iran, the Islamic Republic is said to have announced who their new Ayatollah is. It's actually Ayatollah Khamenei's son. Mojtaba Khomeini has been chosen by Iran's senior clerics to be the new Ayatollah. He's as hardliner as you get. He's even more extreme than the Ayatollah who was just killed by the United States and Israel in the war. This guy, Mojtaba, was the one responsible for massacring the 30 to 40,000 protesters that Donald Trump said he was going to help back in January. No doubt that was part of the thinking of having Mojtaba become the new Ayatollah, but in any event, this was really part of the succession plan. As I've stated before, the old Ayatollah was 85 years old. He wasn't expected to live that much longer. He was becoming pretty unpopular based on the economic troubles being felt by the people of Iran. Even Shiites who previously liked him were turning against him because of the economic conditions. And now the Trump regime, based on their ill-fated, ill-conceived, ill-planned, disastrous war, have now created a situation where they've turned the Ayatollah into a martyr and has rallied the Shiite community against Donald Trump and his regime. Very serious things going on objectively, right? We started off this video talking about the U.S. consulate in Dubai hit, CIA headquarters in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia being hit, all of these military bases of the United States being hit. I'll also be very clear. The United States and Israel are striking Iran hard. And I mean making the shock and awe campaign by the United States in Iraq look small in comparison. I mean, I've heard reports that the bombing campaign that's taken place already in Iran, specifically targeted at Tehran and other large cities, is 2x, 3x, even more in terms of the size of shock and awe in Iraq. And so there's been massive attacks there. But one of the things that the Trump regime doesn't understand is how, after all of these attacks, is the Iranian government, the Islamic Republic, still running things and still able to effectively shoot these ballistic missiles and Shahed drones into the neighboring Middle East countries where the U.S. has a presence and the U.S. has a base. But here's how Donald Trump is handling it right now. He's posting memes like this: "I stand with Trump, the most badass president of all time," with this AI image of him. This is, it's an account called Fruit Snacks that posted this meme. Fruit Snacks is a QAnon espousing social media account on Donald Trump's social media platform, and this is what they're posting: the most badass president of all time. Weirdly, Donald Trump is also posting photos of New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani, and I'm not really sure, is this Donald Trump of a crush on the guy? I think so. Donald Trump posts, "Zoran has come a long way, embracing, of course, the Declaration of Independence while at the Oval Office. Big progress. President DJT." That's what he's posting while the United States is at war with Iran right now. He also posted, "The Genius Act is being threatened and undermined by the banks." And that is unacceptable. I mean, what type of deranged things is he posting? We're also now learning that in addition to the Trump regime saying that they will be supporting Kurdish militias to do a ground invasion of Iran, the Trump regime is also considering providing military protection, including possible maritime escorts by the U.S. Navy to oil and natural gas tankers traversing the Strait of Hormuz in a bid to cool energy prices that have surged since the conflict with Iran began. And it should be noted that in the history of the United States, this is the fourth or fifth highest increase in the price at the pump, 12 to 18 cents a gallon, higher right now in a 24-hour period right now as a result of this disastrous war in Iran. Horrific stuff coming out. Also, Donald Trump was with the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz yesterday in the Oval Office. And again, he was wearing heavy makeup this time on his neck to hide that neck rash of his. He's wearing makeup Trump is on both of his hands to hide the discoloration on his hand, to hide this horrific rash he has on his neck. And then, I mean, this is some like really, really scary stuff. Donald Trump tells Friedrich Merz that his father, Trump says that Trump's father, who was born in New York City in 1905, Fred Trump was born in New York City. Trump said, my father was born in Germany. My father was born there, I think he seems to suggest. Here, play this clip so you can hear it for yourself.
It's a shame. It's and that country, UK, and I love that country. I love it. My mother was born there. I love it. My mother was born there. My father was born. Like he knows all about my father. My father was born there. So very places that you sort of automatically very feel warmly about. But the UK, what they're doing with energy and what they're doing with immigration is horrible. You have the North.
As I mentioned, Democrats came out of that that bipartisan briefing on the Hill where the State Department and Defense Department briefed to Congress about, or were supposed to brief Congress on the status of the war. Here's how Democratic Senator Blumenthal described what went down. Here, play this clip.
I just want to say I am more fearful than ever after this briefing that we may be putting boots on the ground and that troops from the United States may be necessary to accomplish objectives that the administration seems to have. But I also am no more clear on what the priorities are going to be of the administration going forward, whether it is destroying the nuclear capacity of Iran or simply the missiles or regime change or stopping terrorist activities. And I think the administration owes it to the American people to have briefings not just for members of Congress, but for the American public. Nothing here should have been classified. It should be available to the American people.
Do they describe?
Yeah. And with Donald Trump covering up the Epstein files, remember I referred to this war as well as the Jeffrey Epstein war, Operation Epstein Fury. A new YouGov poll that just came out yesterday finds that for the first time, a majority of Americans disapprove of Trump strongly. His overall approval is down to 38%, a new second-term low right here. And look, I'm giving you all the data points. Now, why? We have the Wall Street Journal reporting there are 47,635 Epstein files offline for review. Among the unreleased documents are a woman's unverified allegations against Donald Trump. The withheld files included Federal Bureau of Investigative notes documenting a series of interviews the woman gave to agents in 2019 in which she alleged sexual misconduct by Trump and Jeffrey Epstein when she was a minor in the 1980s. I'll just share with you this image as well. CNN reporters had to take a cover mid-interview as Iran fired ballistic missiles at Tel Aviv. Look at what happened here. I'll play this clip for you right now.
But we have things coming in, so we are going to just unmic. Dan, why don't you take the mic off?
And then go downstairs?
Yep, I'm going to show you exactly where we go. All right?
That's pretty dramatic.
You do need to move pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, and there we go. We're just going to get onto this camera. All right. And come with me, Dan. You can just leave that there. Okay? All right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to just move slowly here while Dan's coming with me. Okay, and we're going to move. So you hear the sirens now, and this is all around the area that we're in Tel Aviv.
So that initial warning, it was about, I think, 5 or 6 minutes. Meanwhile, you have a Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, and French President Emmanuel Macron, both condemning and frankly criticizing the United States for engaging in a war, quote, outside international law. French President Emmanuel Macron says France cannot approve or accept them. Prime Minister Keir Starmer referred to the law, the war, as unlawful. Also, while all of this is going on,